Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, the Stagecoach fire burns through another night in Kearns Mountains, with hundreds of homes still threatened. We'll have the latest on efforts to get it under control.
And after a tragic training accident off the coast of San Diego last week, an update to the search for the 8 troops still missing.
Negotiations continue on Capitol Hill over a new COVID-19 stimulus package that could include renewed bonus unemployment checks. How soon we could see a vote on this Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. Good morning, 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen, along with Alex Fisher and Kevin Schratt, who are holding down the fort in town in studio. And we got a little bit of relief from the heat yesterday, finally wiping out that heat wave. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, no triple digits here in at least the valley. Let's turn things over to Kevin Schratt, who has a look at our forecast. But of course, we're also talking about the Stagecoach fire that continues to burn in our mountains. Kev, how do conditions look up there?
Well, we are going to see the winds pick up a little bit this afternoon. You know, this is going to be an uphill battle for firefighters. The good news is they're starting to get a little bit of containment on the Stagecoach fire. And yesterday, yes, we didn't hit 100 degrees in Bakersfield. We were in the upper 90s. But as we take a look at the Stagecoach fire and what we're expecting for today, and right now we've got the wind still out of the west. I think these winds will pick up. They're fairly calm right now. But again, with this trough developing out of the north, it's going to help with our temperatures. It's not going to bring any moisture, but it's also going to generate some winds throughout the afternoon. So here's a look at our forecast. Sunny and a little bit breezy near this area. Temperatures will be around 83 degrees. The relative humidity between 25 and 30%. And we're looking at the winds to pick up out of the west 15 to 20, and we could be looking at some gusts right around 30 miles per hour. So definitely conditions changing a little bit as this trough approaches out of the north. But the real thing we'll have to watch for this afternoon are some of those winds that could develop. I'll have much more on our local forecast that's coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. And the battle continues this morning as the Stagecoach fire continues to burn in the mountains east of Bakersfield. You just heard Kev talk about it. The threat of this fire is not over as firefighters continue the fight to save homes and lives. So far, we've learned 2 homes have been destroyed and nearly 300 others are threatened. Here's a map of where that fire is burning. It broke out Monday afternoon and has only grown. We have 17's Taylor Schaub here with us this morning to give an update on this fire. Good morning, Taylor.
Well, good morning, Alex. This is the biggest fire in Kern County so far this year, and it looks like it will be a while before firefighters get the upper hand. The blaze has ripped through Kern's eastern mountain region between Lake Isabella and Tehachapi, burning more than 3,500 acres and 2 homes in its path. That's nearly 5 square miles. Right now, more than 250 firefighters are on the front lines trying to keep the flames from reaching more structures. They're unleashing an assault on the flames from the ground and the sky, but as of this morning, Mother Nature is winning. The fire is only 5% contained. We caught up with one local resident last night who says he spent Monday night waiting to see if the flames would engulf his property.
This is where I grew up. This is home. I spent my night on my golf cart up there watching everything, watching the flames come over the mountains.
The fire department has recommended evacuations for people living in communities along Caliente Bodfish Road. In studio, Taylor Schaub, 17 News.
All right, thank you, Taylor. So far, the Kern County Fire Department recommended evacuations for people living in communities along Caliente Bodfish Road. Those evacuations are still active this morning. Kern County Fire Department says people living off Paiute Meadows Road or north of Walker Basin Road should also evacuate. And those living off Indian Oaks Road were given a precautionary evacuation notice. The Red Cross was using the old Kmart parking lot here in Tehachapi to help evacuees find temporary homes. But late Tuesday, it announced all assistance will now be done virtually. Normally, during disasters, the Red Cross keeps everyone in one large shelter. But because of COVID-19, things are different this time around.
Rather than have a large shelter like we've had in the past, we get individual hotel rooms for them if they're available, and they were available. and we place the families in those hotel rooms. If they have any medical needs, we do have a nurse that's on call.
Red Cross Public Information Officer Cindy Hughey says they've been able to help 7 families so far. If you need assistance, call 1-800-RED Cross. And many of these people evacuating have animals, sometimes large animals with them that need help too. So Kern County Animal Services has opened up a temporary shelter to house evacuated pets in the affected areas. It's located at 126 South Snyder Avenue here in Tehachapi. That's the Tehachapi Education Center at the corner of Snyder and Tehachapi Boulevard.
And it's not just Kern County that's seeing fires. There are several major fires burning in California right now. CAL FIRE reports there have been over 5,700 incidents this year. Now combined, those fires have burned more than 204,000 acres of land. 38 structures, homes, and businesses have been damaged or destroyed because of the flames. But here's one silver lining in all of this. No one has been killed by any wildfires this year.
The largest wildfire burning right now is in the mountains east of Los Angeles. It's called the Apple Fire, and it's about 20% contained so far this morning. However, several buildings have been destroyed. It's in Riverside and San Bernardino counties. The fire started Friday after a vehicle let out burning carbon from its exhaust, lighting dry brush on fire. There is hope that a slight dip in temperatures and increase in humidity will help firefighters. Again, right now, that fire, the Apple Fire, has burned 27,000 acres nearly and is 20% contained. Firefighters have nearly gotten the other 2 largest wildfires under control.
.507 now, and as firefighters work hard on the Stagecoach fire and others, there's speculation circulating around the Golden Empire that budget issues may force some county fire stations to temporarily close. It is known as a fire department brownout. 17's Aton Wallace looks into whether there's any truth to these rumors.
They heroically fight fires, save homes, and save lives. But as Kern deals with budget difficulties, are there plans to temporarily close some fire stations? Kern Administrative Officer Ryan Alsop addressed that very question at the Board of Supervisors meeting.
There is no specific plan to temporarily close any fire stations. If residents are hearing that in fact specific stations are going to be closing, they are being misinformed.
This all comes more than 1 month after the board voted 3-1 with 1 abstention to eliminate firefighter overtime payments above federal standards, a vote the fire union opposed, but one Alsop says will save the county more than $3 million. And while that was part of the budget, something he says is not part of the budget at this time, closing fire stations.
That's something that I know the fire chief wants to avoid. I certainly know your board wants to avoid, and it's something that I would like to avoid.
Now, what is part of the fire fund? $10 million to purchase new fire equipment, as you see on screen. The board is not set to vote on this budget until later this month. In Bakersfield, Aton Wallace, 17 News.
New overnight, 1 person is dead and another is critically wounded after a shooting. Here's a look at the scene last night on 10th and M Streets. That's just near the California Avenue Senior Housing Complex. BPD says 2 men were shot and found in the street suffering from those gunshot wounds. One of those men died. The other was taken to Kern Medical in critical condition. It's not clear what exactly led up to the shooting, but BPD says they're still investigating.
And now to an update on the DUI checkpoint from last night. BPD says the checkpoint was in effect from 6 p.m. to midnight, and during that time, officers stopped more than 600 cars. 2 drivers had to take field sobriety tests, but they passed and were allowed to go. Officers cited 33 people for driving without a license. 1 stolen car was recovered during the checkpoint, and that driver arrested. 1 more person was arrested for an outstanding felony warrant. BPD routinely holds DUI checkpoints around town as a reminder not to drink and drive. If you see someone that you think is impaired behind the wheel, call 911.
Welcome back. It is 5:20. It is what it is. That's what President Donald Trump says about the 156,000 people in the U.S. who have died from coronavirus in an interview with Axios on HBO. He also claims it's been written in a book that it's possible to test too much. Caitlin Collins has the story.
Even though his own health experts are warning that the U.S. has entered a worrisome new phase of the pandemic, President Trump is insisting it's under control.
Here's one right here, United States. You take the number of cases. Okay. Look, we're last, meaning we're first.
In a new interview with Axios, the president is eager to declare victory and leans on the mortality rate as an indication that things are improving.
Death is way down from where it was.
Despite how more than 1,000 Americans have died on average per day for the last week straight, the president stuck to his talking point.
Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than Europe.
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
Well,
much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
You can't do that.
He also claimed once again that there are more cases in the US because there is more testing, though health officials say it's because the virus is spreading.
There are those that say you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the
What
books.
manuals?
Read the books.
What books?
Trump also defended putting thousands of his supporters indoors without requiring masks or social distancing during his attempt to return to the campaign trail 6 weeks ago in Tulsa.
Well, because that area was a very good area at the time. It was an area that was pretty much over. After a month later, it started going up. That's a month later.
Trump argued that he canceled another planned rally in New Hampshire out of concern for public health.
And I canceled another one. I had to cancel it. We're going to have a great crowd in New Hampshire, and I canceled it for the same reason.
But his own staff told reporters that it was only postponed because of bad weather and that it would be rescheduled. It never was.
Meantime, here in Kern County, 7 more people have died from coronavirus. Those people died last month. That means that 65 lives were lost in July. That is 25 more deaths than June. 151 people have died since the beginning of this pandemic here in Kern County. Public Health also confirmed 577 new cases yesterday. We've now had more than 21,000 positive tests since March. Roughly 3/4 of Kern's cases are considered active at this time. 248 people are in the hospital and receiving treatment for this virus. Almost 15,000 people that have the virus are recovering at home. As college campuses prepare to reopen, a new study suggests they should frequently screen students for COVID-19. Researchers found that testing students every 2 days, even with a low-quality test, could keep infections at a more controllable number compared to testing weekly with a higher quality test. The study published in the journal JAMA Network Open assembled this data using a hypothetical cohort of 5,000 students, 10 of which had the virus. Researchers found if universities had indoor mask mandates and strict hand-washing policies, less frequent testing could be adequate. Some doctors are saying colleges are responsible for ensuring student safety, but students will also need to comply to these policies if they want to mitigate the spread of coronavirus.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.